So, want to give a shout out to American Color Imaging for helping make this happen. They are super generous with bringing in awesome people and supporting programs like this. If this is your first time joining, welcome. This is Let's Develop. What we do is we reach out and find awesome photographers across the nation, and basically they come in and they share information with us. We have a new episode that drops every 2 weeks, and they're an hour in length. We have a ton of fun, give away some prizes, some solid information. It's a pretty great time. If you did happen to miss the last episode that we had, Selling Portrait Paintings with Sherry Hammond, it's up live on ACI's website right now, acilab.com/let's-develop. So make sure that you go and check that one out, as well as all of the previous episodes that we have up there, because there's a ton of information. So this is a webinar format. So if you do have questions, type them into chat on the side. We will get to the questions as well, as many of them as we can. There's also a little upvote feature on them. So if you have that exact same question or you're thinking about it, give that one a little upvote, and we'll move that one up in priority and make sure that we're answering those ones. All right, so we're going to get started now, and I'm going to introduce our guest. We've got Brent Watkins that's going to be joining us, and he has been in the industry over 25 years. He's a third-generation studio owner. He specializes in portraits and event photography, weddings, and commercial work. He's a past president of the Professional Photographers of Ohio and Northeast Ohio. He's a counselor for PPA, a photographic craftsman, national award recipient, and you may know him from Mentor.photo. It's a Facebook group with over 4,000 members on it, and it kind of came to life and boomed in 2020 when we had that whole COVID quarantine thing. He launched Quoricon, where he had a ton of information, and he's sharing very, very generously with our members. I am going to be sending you in the follow-up email a link to his Facebook group, because you're definitely going to want to check that out. So, Brent, let's talk sales objections today. That sound like a pretty good plan?
I think that's definitely a plan, Chris.
All right. Well, take it away, my friend. Let's start learning.
All right. Well, let me first start. Thank you for that generous introduction, Chris. Thank you to all of you who are here watching. You're at a business program on a Wednesday night. So first, awesome for you guys. So I appreciate that. But let's do a couple things. First, I want to thank ACI for sponsoring this. We really appreciate that. For Chris for putting all the effort into this that he does. And let me do say that this is a portion of a full day program. And, I do speak a fair bit, but I want everyone to right now, I want you to understand that take a moment to just lower your expectations. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be fun for everybody. So handling stalls and objections, being a better salesperson. And I am going to give the quick overview of the CV Chris did for me just a moment ago. I have been in the industry a very long time. I've run a couple of affiliates for several years. I'm a PPA council member, and we are a third generation studio. In fact, next April will be our 80th birthday as a studio.
That's impressive.
And we have seen, well, I haven't been there the whole time, thankfully, but I have been there since 94. So that's longer than I'm sure some of our audience members have been alive. But that means a few things. One of them is we know what things used to be like, and we know how things are now. And the other thing is I'm in the industry, I've been around a long time, but I'm nobody. I'm not a big platform speaker. I like to bring people together, but I don't have anything that I'm trying to sell you guys. Let me be honest about that. I'm just here to tell you what I think the truth is. And what I think the truth is that photography changes people's lives for the better. It created my family. I'm going to be honest. As my buddy Skip likes to say, that with the exception of modern medicine, I don't think there's a more important industry in the world than photography. We are the archivists of people's family history. I think that is truly, truly important. And I think you need to think that too, because if you don't drink your own Kool-Aid, you're not going to be great at sales. I think what I sell is one of the most important things in the world. If I didn't think that, I wouldn't be a good salesman. That said, my wife and I met a little over 20 years ago because of our studio. We got married because of photography. We raised our children through our photography. I was not smart enough to buy real estate. I make all of my money by selling portraits to people. And these are my kids. I have 3 kids, 6 years between each of them. That's important for you all to listen to. Don't do that. Okay. That's a bad bad planning. But I do have a son who's graduating with his master's this year from the Ohio State University. I have a daughter who's graduating from high school also in a few weeks. And my youngest, you see there, is 12 years old now. And about 5-6 years ago, she got real sick. We almost lost her, in fact. It was a harrowing experience. We spent a lot of time at Akron Children's Hospital. It was ridiculously expensive. Infusions that are $15,000 a throw. Did I mention I make all of my money by selling photographs? You can make a living in this business, guys, but you have to be willing to work for it. So that said, everything turned out great. She's back at dance. She's fabulous. I know that got a little serious, so let me get a little lighter. Who in here is afraid of sales sessions? Go ahead. Put it in the dingus.
Type into chat. If
That's
you
right.
don't like sales,
start typing in the chat. Who's afraid of sales? And you can follow it up with after you say yes, me. Why? Why are you afraid of sales? Is the next question.
Connie saying here,
Yeah.
John, me, Yeti, me. We've got lots of that. Everybody's afraid of sales so far.
Well, and that's probably why you're here. Either you love sales and you want to see what somebody else says about it, or you hate sales and want to see what somebody else says about it. Yeah. So to that end,
John says fear is a big thing for him. Jennifer doesn't want to be salesy.
Right. Not being salesy. That's really important. There are a lot of people in this industry that want to tell you there's a magic bullet for things. I don't think that's true. I'm going to be honest. It takes a lot of hard work. It is hard. It's difficult. We are self-employed artists in a rapidly diminishing market. Okay. That said, you can absolutely make a living here. I'm doing it. You can do it too. I'd tell you something different, but I'm here to tell you the truth. There are no magic words that make perfect sales. I'm sorry. I know it says on the cover that I'm going to tell you the magic words to make perfect sales. We'll get there. But if there were magic words, I wouldn't be doing this webinar for free. Fair enough. And since it's a short show, I'm going to push into some other things. But let's talk about the parameters of who I expect I'm talking to in the room. And if this isn't you, let's work on making it become you. But the expectations I have first are you need to be a good photographer. I'm not saying you have to be the world's best photographer, but you need to be a good photographer. You need to be competent. You need to be a good business owner. And that's where all the room wants to run and hide. I understand that already. And the last one is you need to know your costs of doing business. And this is table stakes for being a business owner, guys. I'm going to assume this is true for everyone in the room, but I know a lot of you don't like the last two bullet points there, and most of you don't know the answer to the very last bullet point there. You can fix that. It's not that difficult. But if you're not a real photographer yet, don't practice on paying clients because you give us all a bad name when you do that. And being a business owner is your most important job. You are a photographer second, you're a business owner first. Your business sells photographs, but you own a business. That's what you do. And if you don't know your costs, you can never be successful. And every sales session you go through will be an exercise in frustration. Now, I can go over all this stuff for you guys, but that's a different program. Have Chris call me back.
There we go.
So let's assume we are good at all of those things, just to get it out of the way. But those things are really important, gang. So let's define our terms and what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about objections, and we're talking about stalls. And while that's a portion of what we'll be discussing tonight, we're going to talk about why stalls and objections happen. And most of that is, well, I'll get there. But of the two, I'm going to be honest with you. Objections, I think, are far easier to handle than stalls. Objections is one of your customers having a specific issue with you, which is great. It's specific. You can address it, you can fix it, and you can move on. Stalls, I find harder. Stalls are people just trying to avoid making a decision. And it is amazing the lengths people will go to avoid making a decision. Oh my gosh. So let's run through the three big issues that all people have as sales. And this is for those of you that said you were afraid. There are three big issues I find. Internal fears, and we'll talk about those. Confusion causers, and this is a part of your sales process. And then customer pushback. And pushback is where stalls and objections happen. But the first 2 points, you can prevent the third point by dealing with the first two. So let's roll into those. Internal fears. And tell me if this sounds like you. Feel free to throw a hand up in the chat. Who here deals with imposter syndrome? Yeah, a lot of us do, especially artists. Artists are so susceptible to this. Think you're a fraud. Is my pricing correct? The eternal question. No one is ever happy with their pricing. Side note, I'm thrilled with my pricing. I love it. Am I too expensive? Am I too cheap? Maybe I should give them a discount. And that's you saying to yourself, you don't think you're worth what number you put on that paper. So stop that. You're sabotaging yourself immediately. Or worse, in the sales room, they're picking the wrong thing. Maybe I should just give them the right one because this is, they're picking raise your hand if you have said this. There's a reason my wife's not allowed to do sales. She says this all the time. Let me just give them the right thing too, because I love it so much, because so many photographers want to derive their personal value from what their clients think of their work. And I'm here to tell you, gang, that way lies madness. You can't derive your self-worth.
Put that into chat.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm asking the audience to put into chat if they have had one of these fears up here, one of these internal fears, whether it's imposter syndrome or wondering if your pricing's right.
Yeah, it's trying to second guess your customer. If you've heard yourself say these things, let me tell you, there is a solution, because all of these bullet points are only in your head. They don't affect the real world. It's your own self-doubt that's coming for you. It's not a client problem. It's a you problem. And you can fix that. Maybe you need to fix that by really working through your system. And there's a lot of help out there, gang, a lot of help out there to make sure you get your pricing and your costing right. But I heard a long time ago, a smart person said, and I think it's true, all of sales is dependent on 1 square foot of real estate. And it's right here. It's all inside your own head. If you don't believe what you're saying, if you don't believe what your pricing is, if you don't really believe in it, you're never going to be effective at selling it. Now, if you can't get out of your head, maybe the first thing you need to do is hire a salesperson. And I realize that's derailing my topic, but if you are like this person and repeatedly shooting yourself in the foot, artists are terrible at sales historically. If you can't do it, hire someone who can. This is the first person that most artists should hire. Pay them straight commission if you need to, because 70% of a good sale is better than 100% of a bad sale. Just let that sink in for a second. Now, how do you find someone? You have customers who sell Mary Kay. You have customers who sell Norwex. You can insert your multi-level marketing scheme here. You know people who do this stuff. In fact, you have clients who do this stuff. And they love your work so much they've given you money for it. What if you actually offered to pay them for showing to others what they already value? These people exist. They're not difficult to find. If you give them the tools, it might be the right solution for you. That said, let's assuming you're going to soldier on and do this yourself. Let's talk about the confusion that you might bring to your own process. Confusion's the second hardest thing, biggest hurdle in sales, I find. Again, pushback, a distant third. Pushback tends to come from the confusion you've given your customers. So let me run through a few bullet points here. Let's talk about price mismatches. And feel free to throw in the chat if you are afraid of one of these, or you might have experienced this in your own pricing. If you have a session fee, for example, that's $20, but your sprints start at $100, your prints are $100 to start. You have built cognitive dissonance into your pricing, and people think they're getting something cheap, and then they come in and it's really expensive and they feel bait and switched. Or worse, your session is super high and then you're charging $10 for prints and you're losing money the more you sell. You need to have a balance in that. The second thing I've seen photographers do is have gaps in their own product. For example, you offer a beautiful hand-painted portrait edit or completely unedited prints, but nothing in between. And your customer wants to give you the money for something that's just not there. And that's a service that you've just overlooked somehow. Frequently find this when I review people's price guides. Third, missing products altogether. You simply don't offer a product that your customer wants or needs. I see this all the time with senior portrait photographers. And let me say, we photograph a lot of high school senior portraits. That's a major portion of my business. So tonight I will speak in senior terms frequently. But I know photographers that do beautiful portraits and don't offer to sell graduation announcements. What are you doing? Do all of your customers know all of the products they should be buying from you? That's a big slogan in my whole life. It's not in this program. It's a different program. But do all of your customers know everything they should be buying from you? Why should you let them give Costco their money? They should give you their money. These last three kind of travel all together. Uncertainty about what's happening next for your client. Clients that say, I don't even know how much I've paid yet. What actually goes towards my order? I don't understand what's happening. Not guiding your client through the process, leaving them guessing, makes them anxious. If they're anxious, they're not going to be receptive to anything that you say to them. They're going to always be waiting for the catch, as it were. And that makes you start feeling salesy. As somebody said, I don't want to be salesy. Educate your clients. Most of these issues are completely alleviated by giving them information and preparing them. So how do we prepare someone? Who's heard of the 5 Ps before? You can feel free to raise your hand in the chat. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. This is true in every aspect of photography. Of course, it's true in the session itself. You would not go without your equipment and your backup camera and making sure there's a working memory card in your camera. Would you? Would you? Would you? Raise your hand if you've ever gone to a shoot without a memory card. I'm going to have to raise my hand here. I did that twice. Yep. Oh, wait, is there a CVS nearby? And how do you feel when you do that? You feel like an idiot. And you should, to be honest. I know I do. Same thing happens in the sales room. If you're not prepared for your client, how can you expect your client to want to give you a lot of money? You can pre-qualify your clients. This is the first way you get rid of stalls and objections. Don't work for clients who are a bad fit for you. You should have, well, we'll get to it, but you should know whether this is a good client for you or not before you spend an hour or two with them holding a camera. You should be upfront about the costs of your services. In fact, tell them what things cost before they ask. Make sure you're working with the right people. Explain to them what happens next. At our studio, we have a printed 4x6 postcard, and it's titled, What Happens Next? After the session, we give this to people and say, in the next couple of days, you're going to get a message. We're going to schedule a point in time for you to come in. We're going to do an in-person reveal session. We're going to narrow down your selects together. You're going to get some preview sheets that day. You'll get to take them home for a few days to make your final purchase decisions. We'll go over all the product at that time, and you're going to come back and place your order. That is the process I choose to use. You use whatever process is right for you, but don't use a process because it's easy and not effective. Let me say that. Those of you that think you can do everything on a website are probably wrong. Sorry. I said I was going to give you truth here. I love me some shoot proof. Don't get me wrong. I could not run my business on it. And this lets your client feel like they are in control. They have a level of investment in the entire process. They know what's going on. And that is so important for them because what you have done is set realistic expectations for time and money. You do this up front with them. They know what's happening. So they don't immediately come into a preview or sales session and go, what do you mean I'm going to spend X number of dollars? And I don't know what's expensive to you. Is $100 a lot? Is $1,000 a lot? Is $10,000 a lot? What does your client think they were doing on the way in the door? This is all about making life better for yourself. Remember, you're the ones who built your price book. You are not a victim of your own pricing. You get to change this if it's not working for you. That said, don't be one of those people that changes your pricing for every single session. You'll get a bad reputation. But you are setting the prices and you're controlling the experience. It shouldn't matter what your client chooses to purchase. You should win either way, no matter what. I have stacked the deck in my favor. No matter what my customer comes in and purchases, I win. I know that before the sales session starts. Let me tell you how much stress that relieves from me. Now, does every sales session make me the same amount of money? No. Some people spend $500. Some people spend $5,000. I like the second group of people more, but I'm not hurt by the first group of people. And I'm not emotionally destroyed because they didn't spend as much. So then let's talk about Pushback. And I realize we're 20 slides into the program and I'm finally talking about what our title was. So I'm sorry for that, gang. But everything before now, well, it's important. And what it does is it makes this portion of the program less important because you do a lot less of it. So we get very little pushback from our customers because I've prepared them properly ahead of time. They knew they were buying an expensive product. It's not like they went to the Yugo dealer and walked in and saw Porsches. That's not going to sell things. I know nobody in the group knows what a Yugo was. It was a very cheap car from the 80s. So let's talk about stalls first, because again, I think stalls are much more insidious. So the first one is, I need to ask my spouse. How many of us have heard this? And I am not saying this to try and be sexist or anything, but we all know moms and wives are the people who buy photography. If you're advertising your photography service in Guns and Ammo magazine, you might be missing the right group of people. It's just, I work with women all the time. They are emotional purchasers and they want to be led down this path. So I need to ask my spouse, our response to that is, what do you think they're going to say when you go home and show them this? 99 times out of 100, their response is, he's going to say, buy whatever I want because that's what I want. And I'm going to say, yes. So why don't we talk about what you want first so you go in ready for that? Just get it out of the way. Let's still talk about it. You can definitely go talk to them, but we both know they're going to say whatever you want. I'm a married guy. I'm going to say whatever you want when my wife comes and says she wants to do X, Y, or Z. Yeah, absolutely. I need my family to look at them again. Or look at them in the first place, but look at them again is the worst one because they've already looked at them once and now they are continuing to try to not make a decision. So to that, our response frequently is, you know what, if they need to see them again, of course they can. But let me give you a little advice when it comes to families and gifting portraits to families. A lot of times it's better to give that family member a gift instead of giving them a choice, because we all have too many choices in life already. But these portraits are all gorgeous. Whichever one you choose, they're going to love. Why don't you make their life simpler and give them what they want to have? Almost always works. Almost always works because you're giving them the opportunity to give to their family the same thing they're trying to get from you, not making a decision. So after that, the I'm just not sure's. I feel overwhelmed. It's too much. This is great, actually. This is a great stall because you then can talk to your client and say, well, if you're not sure, let's start by talking, which of these portraits do you love the most? Where are you going to be hanging things on your wall? What is your intention? How do you want to decorate with your family? And that gives you the opportunity to not just be their photographer, but to be their portrait concierge. You are now, that's a phrase from my buddy Mike Price, who did this a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to give Mike credit here. You can now be as invaluable to them in the sales room as you are in the camera room. And remember, they want your expertise, not just as a photographer, but as an artist. People don't know how to buy artwork. They don't know how to display artwork. You get to teach them what the right way is and what the right size for things are. This is an opportunity to increase sales and serve your customers better. That's a big thing with me, serving your customer better, not just making a big sale. You know, if you screw everybody in town one time, you'll be rich. But if you hook a client and they spend a little less 10 more times, you'll be wealthy for generations. So can I think about it for another week? These are the ones that drive me crazy. I'm going to be honest. I just need more time. I'm totally in the weeds. And this is the same thing I say. Of course we can, but let's figure out where you are now. And then you try to get most of it down on paper. You know, you want a wall portrait. Which of these is your favorite? You know, we want this. You know, we want this. We get it down on paper a little bit, even if it's just on Post-it notes, guys. They are starting to make decisions. Once they've made 3 or 4 decisions, they start making decisions. And I cannot tell you the number of sessions I've had that started with, I need another week, and finished with a check. And first, that's a great feeling. You feel like you won. But 2, you're saving yourself 2 more hours of this nonsense a week from now. And that's important because your time is frequently more valuable than the money. You can't build more time. It's the only thing you can't get more of. And then the last one, I'm not sure what I need. Any salesman who hears the phrase, I don't know what I need, and doesn't think they just hit the lotto is, guys, you're not even playing. It's, what do you need? Well, here, let me tell you what I think would be best for you. You need a wall portrait, of course, maybe 2. And I'm not saying this again to boost a sale. I'm saying this to make my client's life better. I absolutely believe the quality of their life is improved by hanging more portraits of their family on their walls. I know my life is improved by that. I have wall portraits of my family everywhere. I think it's hugely important. And I don't think there's anything more expensive in life than every day walking down the stairs and seeing a portrait and going, I wish that was bigger. You know how much that costs you of emotional debt over 30 years when they could have just bought a 16 by 20 in the first place instead of an 11 by 14? Because we've all heard, oh, I only need the big one, an 8 by 10. I don't know why that's a standard unit of measure, but it is. But you get the opportunity to serve your client more in that scenario. So that said, let's talk about the objections, because these are the ones that come up from specific points. And the first one is, you're too expensive. This is my favorite objection ever, because my response to that is, you know what? That's no problem at all. Obviously, we're not a great fit. I hope you find somebody who can serve you. And I'm done with this person now. This happens before the session because I'm pre-qualifying my client. I am not wasting 3 hours with this person for them to then come in and try to beat me up over price. I don't have time for that in life. You shouldn't have time for that in life either. Second, there's too many good ones. This is something we hear frequently. I hope this is something you hear frequently, but people say, I love all of these images. Here's a tip, guys. Everyone is beautiful to the people who love them. It's our job as photographers to show the whole world what those people see every day. If you can capture someone well in a portrait session, mom wants everything. Of course she wants everything. Now, if there's too many, well, great. Let's narrow it down to your absolute favorites and talk about what you need. Maybe you need an album to supplement this. Maybe you need to, there's a lot of different ways you can go. Too many good ones, good problem to have. The arm and a leg question, who's heard arm and a leg? Mm-hmm. Going rate for an arm and a leg, I think, is $35,000. You know, I don't know where you guys live, but so.
Which market are we talking?
Yeah, well, it's the darker one. It's black market, I'm pretty sure. Don't traffic in kidneys either. It's bad for you. Sorry.
Need a lot of ice.
Anyway, this is going to cause an arm and a leg. Our response to that is, no. It's not as bad as you think. And in truth, you don't have to pay for this all at one time. We offer layaway. We offer payments. We will make this easy for you. Don't you worry about it. That arm and a leg is people going, I can't drop $1,000 today. My credit card's almost at its limit. I am happy to let people pay over time. Layaway is something we'll talk about more, but they just have to finish paying me before they can have their stuff. Can I just buy all the digitals? This is an objection masquerading as a stall. They don't want to make a decision. Just give me everything on a disc and then I'll never look at it again and I'll just pretend I'm happy. To which we say, well, of course we offer digital options for social sharing. And they come along with your printed order. So let's figure out what your portraits are first, and then we'll figure out the digitals at the end. So I've said yes, and it moves it along. All right, you do have to talk about prints now. And the last one, the can I just print them myself crowd. And I'll be honest, we don't get a lot of this either because we educated this out of people along the way. But sometimes we get that. And our response is, I'm sorry, we are master printmakers and we're very particular about how our work looks. In fact, you can't order prints as nice as ours. Our labs only work with tradesmen. So we do require you to buy your portraits from us because we want to make sure you get the highest quality prints.
You're good.
And then I stop talking. I don't have to justify anything else. I'm done now. And that's also where a lot of salesmen have issues. Salespeople, I'm sorry. You want to talk too much. You want to fill all the silence. Say what you said and stop talking and let them make a decision and move forward. And everybody says, but people won't spend money, which is blatantly not true. David Truss used this statistic, 5 or 6 years ago, and I've loved it ever since. According to Consumers, the average American spends $1,100 a year on coffee outside of the home. Tell me people can't afford portraits. It's one less latte a week if you want to amortize it over a year. Absolutely, people can do this. All you have to do is be willing to ask for it. So if you can make your customer comfortable, they realize they're going to spend some money with you. What you need to do is think about your interactions from your customer's point of view. And this is where we flip the script again a little bit. But the ultimate goal is for them to be comfortable, guys. They need to relax. You need to relieve their anxiety. For them, getting their portrait done and coming back to order them is like going to the dentist. All right. You need to reassure them. You need to affirm them because this is stressful. This is a stressful experience for the client. I don't know about you guys, but let me tell you, when I know even when I get my portrait done, I feel fat. I don't know if I'm wearing the right clothes. I probably had a bad hair day. Maybe they had a bad experience with a photographer who was not you that made them feel bad about themselves. They don't know what to expect. And if it's a family session, they probably had a fight in the car on their way to get to you. You know I'm right. They did. There was an argument. And the husband saying, I don't want to spend any money. And she's going, no, I want to get it. So when they find you, you need to be a bastion of calm for these people, whether it's in your sales room or in a Starbucks, you're having this consultation. You need to be the one in control who settles everything down. I have a beautiful sales room. I'm not going to show it on camera because, well, it's mean, but it works great for me. That said, I've done these sessions in a Starbucks too, and that's absolutely fine. But let me tell you, if we're doing a session at a Starbucks, my client doesn't get anywhere near the bill. Let me buy you guys all a hot cocoa or coffee or something. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk. I bought the drinks. Now they have to listen to me. They're invested. They're beholden. Give somebody a drink is what I'm saying. But they need to calm down so they can be receptive. Because if they're upset, that's not what you want, because we sell emotion. And the more angry people get, the more rational they want to pretend they are. I'm going to pick at this. I'm going to pick at that. And in truth, you want them to love everything and be attached to it. And if you don't know what emotional selling sounds like, why in the world would anyone ever buy a puppy? Puppies pee, they poop, they destroy things, they chew everything up. So let me hand you this beautiful puppy. You hold on to it for 15 minutes and then give it back to me. Think about that. Put products in your customers' hands. Show them quality, show them their family as beautiful as they've ever seen them, and then said, are you sure you don't want this? Because I can put this all away and we can leave. It's really mean, but it works like a dream. Because they know they can get whatever they want from you. They're already emotional now. And again, this is not to take advantage of people. This is to let people actually feel what they want, because we spend a lot of time denying ourselves. And the words you use during this conversation matter. They matter hugely. So, in fact, the way you say things is every bit as important as what you say. So I'm going to give you my verbiage, and I use it frequently. You figure out a way to make it your own voice. Make it part of you. But, and these are things that I tend to refer to as the phrase that pays, because, I'm a mercenary. But my first one, and this is one of my favorites, I got this from Bambi Cantrell a dozen years ago, and it's as true today as it was then. They ask for something irreasonable, and you say, oh, I wish I could. You shake your head. I wish I could. Can I have all my portraits for $100? Oh, I wish I could. Next. I'm done now. For wedding photographers especially, this phrase, services are not interchangeable with products. For those of you that are wedding photographers, we've all given away an engagement session to somebody, or they didn't use their engagement session. So they said, you know what? We didn't use that session. The session's $120 or $400 or whatever. Can we just turn that into a couple of prints? Well, no. Sessions make me money. Products cost me money. You cannot turn a session into a product. No. So this is a little piece of verbiage that's just on some of our materials. And then you can point to the piece of paper. It's the piece of paper's fault. It's not me. We can't interchange products and services. We could happily schedule you another session. Thrilled to do that. You're going to buy things from that. The phrase, it's complimentary, also very valuable. I choose at my studio to include a complimentary frame on every wall portrait that I sell. It's a basic black frame. It's made by a company I really enjoy working with. And I do not send a frame out or print a wall portrait out of my studio that doesn't have a frame on it. That said, I've had customers who are trying to cut budget say, well, what does it cost without the frame? To which my response is, oh, the frame's complimentary. It doesn't change the price. It's like the ketchup at a diner, guys. That's complimentary too. Use it, don't use it. But you can have products that are complimentary. I provide this to you because I think it improves the quality. If you don't want it, that's fine. It doesn't change the price of the print. And then I try to say yes to my customers as much as I possibly can. Yes just comes with a price tag. Yes, absolutely, you can do that. It's going to cost whatever that number is. And I let the price dictate whether they really want it or not. How much would it be to have the braces taken off of these pictures? Oh, it's going to be $47.50 each. Okay, if there's one of them, that's not a big deal. If there's 20 of them, that might be cost prohibitive. And let them decide if you want to go through that amount of work. And have a number. You should have a number for everything that you do. You should have a price. Even if you don't publish it, have it written down in a drawer so you know that you're not hurting yourself if you offer something at that price. That's an important exercise to go through. Now, the volunteer statement. Those, if you remember Charles Lewis, feel free to put in the chat that you know Cheap Chuck too. I got this from him years ago, but volunteer pricing is telling people about your pricing before they ask you. And I'm pretty sure Charles Lewis cribbed it from Zig Ziglar. It's been around forever. So this is mine about senior pricing. I'm on the phone with a customer or they've stopped in the studio to ask questions. And I say, before we go a lot further, let me give you an indication of what you can plan on spending. Most families decide on a nice wall portrait, maybe a few display pieces, possibly an album, some gift portraits. The average ballpark for a senior customer is somewhere between $800 and $1,800. And that's true at any studio of quality. Does that sound okay to you? What did I do in that statement? First, I told them they're going to spend between $800 and $1,800. And some people hear 800, some people hear 1,800. But what they also heard is that's true at any studio of quality. What does that mean about every studio who charges less than me? You all know. It means they're not quality. I threw them all under the bus while smiling at my client. And they know now the range they're talking about. I don't know what you guys' ranges is. Honestly, I don't care. I hope you're making money on your range. If you're not, you need to go back to those first couple slides. But that is how we volunteer that before they ask. You're talking to $800 to $1,800. Do people spend more? Of course they do. Do some people spend less? Sure. But this is the range you should anticipate. And if they freak out at that, they're not your client. And if they can't give you the check fast enough, make sure you offer more products later. This is the layaway portion. And I know some people roll their eyes at the word layaway. They feel like it's Kmart and Blue Light Special. Let me tell you, it relieves a huge amount of anxiety for our customers. Payment plans scare people. It feels like a credit card. But I tell moms, and I had this happen a week ago. A mom was she was in the weeds. She was just worked up. She goes, "Is this going to cost a lot of money?" I'm like, yeah, but that's okay. And here's my phrase. Feel free to write it down, play it back on the recording. I don't want anything as easy to deal with as money to be what stops you from getting everything you want to have. Let's figure out a way to get everything for you. What's your wish list? And in this mom's instance, she wanted a beautiful big wall portrait and a few display pieces. And we made the wall portrait her Christmas gift to herself. We wrote it up different. Goodness, I need to start smoking through these. I'm sorry. I'm losing track of time here.
Oh, we're doing good.
And I know this is overwhelming. Tell clients that sometimes they feel it's overwhelming. I said, I know it's overwhelming. Write out your wish list. If I could have everything list, tell me what you want to have. Let me see what I can do to help you. Notice this is all about me helping them. I'm in this with them. They are not my adversary in this process. I'm on their team. Why am I on their team? Because I wrote the book. I know what all the prices mean. I make money no matter what they choose. I honestly don't care what they choose to purchase. I'm going to make money. Now, I want to help them spend their money in the way that's best for them. That's important to me. And a simple question, what's your budget? And it's the easiest question in the world. It really is. And nobody ever asks this. This is true for portraits. This is really true for commercial work. And I'm sorry, I'm going to tell a quick story. A commercial company we deal with that I'm not allowed to say their name, but they're an Olympic sponsor. And a few years ago, they had a member of the women's soccer team coming in, giving an inspirational speech at their campus. And they called me on a Tuesday. They said, Brent, we have this thing happening Thursday. We completely forgot to book a photographer for it. And we were going to call you and it just didn't happen. And do you think you could help us out? Are you possibly available for this? Now, I make a lot of money working with these people. I was in my heart about to do it for free, but I said, yeah, you know what? Let me check the date real quick. What's your budget? And on the other end, I hear, I really can't spend more than $1,000 on this. This is a 2-hour shoot, guys, for a company that I was going to do it for free. And I said, you know what? I can absolutely make it. Let me double check the calendar. And they said, let's do $800. And they said, really? You do that for us? I was a hero and I charged them $800 because I asked a very simple question. And you guys can do it too. You just have to remember to ask. And if they don't have a budget, then you start your education process. And we're almost through, but you need to be effusive with praising your client. That's important too. It's never about me in the camera room. It's not about me being cool in the preview session. It's about them being gorgeous. I didn't take a great shot. They look amazing. It's always them who looks good. I build them up. I build them up. I build them up. And mom already sees it. She's wanted these pictures forever. The kids see it and they love them too. This isn't being salesy. These are gorgeous images. Anyone would be proud to hang this portrait on their wall. What size would you like? That's my next question. It's not an if, it's a what. And finally, this is just a business thing in general. You give credit and you take blame. If it's your name on the door, if a client came in and you made a miracle happen, my response is generally the same. Yeah, the whole team worked hard on this. We really, called in a few favors and we were able to get this done in 24 hours. Something bad happens, their fault, my fault, nobody's fault. It's my fault. You know what? I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. We're going to fix it for you. What can I do to make this right for you? And that's a legitimate question I ask a customer if they're unhappy. What can I do to make this right for you? 9 times out of 10, they say, I just want it remade. Well, of course we're going to do that. But then I'm going to gift them something beyond that. And that costs me almost nothing to make their experience better. But you can, when a mistake happens, it's your best opportunity to turn a client into a raving fan. If you haven't read Stark Raving Fans, go get that book, but that's a different conversation too. That was a lot of stuff really fast, gang. What questions do we have out there, Chris?
Yeah, I think everybody's just completely gobsmacked on all the information that's coming there. So if you do,
I'm sorry, I know it was information dense. It's part of a full day program, so
right?
I packed it in too tight.
Crammed an entire day's learning into about 40 minutes. I do have a question from Jose. How much time do you give for payments? Can you tell us a little bit like how your layaway, your payment plan?
That's a great question. It depends a little on the type of session it is. I have a couple of clients. This is not a great business practice, I'm going to say, but this is a family that has 6 kids, and we have been photographing them for about 8 years now. And we are just part of their budget. They give us $50 a month and have been for like the last 10 years because we've done 5 seniors, 2 weddings. It's just, they just made us part of their family budget. That's not a great way of doing things. Mostly, to answer that question, if it's less than 4 months, I don't even think about charging somebody interest. 4 months is a pretty easy number for most people. Like the example I gave about the mom making it a gift for herself for Christmas. I think we're going 8 months on that one. But what does it cost me? I won't send anything to the lab till I've had 50% payment down. Once I get to 50%, I'll send something to the lab. Why is that? Because then I'm not losing money. And it's easy for the customer to understand. Also, they have to understand that every payment is non-refundable. That's really important. This is a down payment on a product. You are making payments towards it. That's why layaway is important also. They've agreed to a purchase already. But for the most part, it's usually about 4 months. I try not to go further than that unless it's a special case. And in this instance, a mom was buying a $2,000 wall portrait. I'm willing to let her finance it over a little more time.
Sure. So are you holding on to the product until it's paid in full, or at what point?
Absolutely. Yeah, they have to pay for everything in full before they're allowed to have it. And that's true with orders too. That's something I probably should have put in here. On all of our material that we send home with them, it says we do not deliver partial orders. That's important at this time of year when mom and dad ran out of budget to get the senior portrait and to say, we really just want the wallets right now. We only need these couple gifts and we'll get the rest of it later. Later never comes. You have to give me everything before I give you anything because you won't give me the rest of it. And maybe not them individually, but we've been burned too many times. You just can't go there anymore. If that makes sense to folks. It's an unfortunate truth, but think of it the other way. Would, the grocery store let you take 3 bags of groceries and pay for 1? No. When's the last car dealership that said, if you stop making payments, it's okay. You can keep the car. The repo man's going to show up at your door it's hard for me to repo portraits. So yeah, you have
It's
to
a
pay
custom
up front,
product.
guys.
You can't resell it somewhere.
Right. That's exactly right.
That was Jennifer's line. I stole it from her, but she typed it into chat.
Oh, well, good. Jennifer, you're exactly right. You cannot repo a custom product. That's great. I will probably steal that from you. That was excellent.
We'll just share the information, share the wealth that's on here.
That's right.
If you do have any questions, put them into chat, please. While we're waiting for you to type those out, I'm going to share a little bit of information about some other cool stuff that we have and some specials from ACI. So let's take a peek at what ACI special is. Right now, you can get 35% off of studio samples with the code that's on your screen. And yes, I will be emailing it to you as well. So if you don't have a pen handy, which hopefully you do, because there's been a ton of great information here, you can get some new studio samples because, well, I'm sure, as you know, Brent, people buy what they see. So it's nice to
if they can touch it, they will buy it.
If you build it, they will come. Right?
Exactly.
Do also want to let you know about some upcoming episodes that we have. We've got social media for photographers with Dory Howell coming up, Photoshop paintings with Karen McCall, and epic senior portraits with Corey McDonald. All of those are open right now, so you can sign up and attend those completely free to do, which should be pretty awesome. And of course, if you do have ideas for future episodes, email me. That's how we find new speakers, new content, things that you want to learn about. It's a lot of fun, but it's up to you to do that. All right. So we've got some prizes from ACI because who doesn't love prizes, right? So up first, we have a $50 lab credit to American Color Imaging. And let's see who that winner is for a $50 lab credit. We got the wheel that's spinning now.
Ooh, big money, big prizes, no whammies.
And who's it going to be? It's Katie. Congratulations, Katie. You've won a $50 lab credit. Up next, we've got a $75 lab credit. So winner of the $75 lab credit. And we're spinning again. And this one is Tammy.
Congratulations, Tammy.
All right. And now we've got our grand prize, a $100 lab credit to ACI, $100. And when we come back, we've got a couple of questions for Brent. So we'll see who this $100 winner is. And then the real grand prize is going to be the information you learn.
No, the money's nice too.
Right? And it's burning. Just jotting that down so we can make sure that you get your lab credit added. All right. So have a question from Vicky. Wants to know, how do you help people see their portraits and studio samples with other people in the pictures? Is that a problem?
You know what? It's not for me generally. So when people come to the studio, every product that's in my pricing book, and I'm going to be honest, guys, I have a 20-page product book. I like to show a lot of product. Maybe it's because I'm a salesman, but I have always felt that if I ran out of product before they ran out of money, I lost. So that's just me. That said, I have a product, I have everything in the studio. And we have a big studio space, so it's kind of great. We have a well-appointed preview room, but I have all the product out, and they're all live samples. I'm not making specialty pieces because I think, oh, this person's super pretty. 9 times out of 10, my samples are, oh, that looks nice. Go ahead and order a second one of those. And these are live client pieces that are out in my waiting room. Or the occasion we make it, we've put a wrong image in something. Okay, well, that's a sample. We all do that. But
right. We're adding to the sample list. Yeah.
What I do is we project sales up on a big 70-inch plasma screen, and people get to see their images big, and then we walk around and I say, okay, so this is this piece, this is this. Which images would you like to have in a piece like this for you? And I don't find people really have a hard time visualizing. They like this piece. They think it's cool. All right, let's talk about what images fit inside of that piece. And working through it that way, I'll be honest, I do not use like the pro select thing where you can actually drop images into templates. Not my thing. Maybe it's because I'm a little more old school because I've been doing this since film, but I show people their previews and we talk about product.
That seems totally reasonable. Had a question. Can I upload samples with a special and upload late? Oh, that was on the ACI special they were asking at. So that one, you do have to have the order with the images in by the 16th in order to redeem that one. So if somebody's wanting to get better or smoother at their sales process, any tips for practicing? How do we get natural besides getting Brent in our ear with a headpiece?
Well, okay, try and get me in your ear. That's one thing. A couple of things. One, make sure you really are happy with your pricing. Go through it, make sure you don't have any holes. Then have somebody who is not you or your spouse go through it and look at it. A friend, a sister-in-law, somebody who likes photography, who has kids, and say, does this make sense to you? Have other people proofread your stuff. That's important first, because it makes sense to us because we live in it. But other people, their major experience with photographers is life touch. All right. It's school portrait day. And a lot of times that is not a positive experience. Beyond that, think about every experience you've had in a sales room. Think about the last time you went to buy a car. Go shop at some places that are quality places. If you've never gone to Nordstrom to shop, do it. To be honest, guys, Target is not the high end of the retail ladder. And a lot of people are afraid to walk into some nicer stores. Go to a Tiffany's. I'm not saying you have to buy anything. Just go see what the experience is like. It feels different. And honestly, buy something small. Call it a business expense. I'm pretty sure your accountant can figure that out for you. It's a marketing routine. But go buy a beautiful thing and see how it feels when they give it to you. Pay attention to the packaging. Pay attention to the way your salesperson speaks to you. Do things that are outside of our industry, because all of those same principles drive right back in. I've said it a lot of times. If you want to see great customer service in a low-cost environment, go to a Chick-fil-A for lunch. Everybody's always, my pleasure. Thank you so much. It's amazing the level of quality. Stay at a Four Seasons or even a Marriott now. They all get the same training they did before. A higher-end hotel is a great experience to see what good customer service is like. Go to them with a problem and see how they deal with it. It's amazing. It is not what a lot of us are accustomed to.
So Yeti wants to know, do you use a phone script or practice anything like that?
I do actually have a phone script. And I will be honest, it's a very heavily modified version of the one Charles Lewis used to give in his Inside Club. And stalls and objections are on there. And we do have a phone script now. I will be honest, I don't use it because I internalized it a long time ago. But every phone conversation I have is kind of the same. And booking a client on the phone, my phone rings, and 8 times out of 10, 17 to 22 minutes later, I have a booking with money. That's how well a telechart works for me. But yes, you should have a phone script. And you should have your common stalls and objections. You should have your volunteer statement on there so that you know what you're going to say to someone when they call. Now, I'm sad to say people are trying to use text messaging more and more for the communication, which drives me a little crazy. But I still tend to call people back, especially if it's parents. If it's the younger generation, anybody 25 or under, they get freaked out when their phone rings. So I will text them first. But
that's kind of
for the parent generation. Phone call. Well, and that's it. That's what they want. They don't want me to call them and talk to them on the phone. I need to get permission through text before I can say, this would be much easier if we had a 5-minute conversation. May I give you a call? And if they say no, then I type it in. But I do enjoy a phone chart, especially when I'm training new staff. They have to live on it. And we do have a hierarchy at the studio. The first time the phone rings, it's me and my wife who are our primary photographers. The second time, it's the two of us or our studio manager. After that, anybody who can get to the phone, answer the phone. The phone should be answered. It should not go to voicemail. Now, if it does, our voicemail is very nice, but you want to answer your phone every time it rings.
So we've got a lot of information that you just shared with us. Holy cow, I think we had the fire hose thrown out here.
Sorry, guys. So, I apologize. I was afraid I was going to be short somehow.
A replay of this. I'll email a link out to you. But if we want to continue this conversation or learn more from you, you share so generously. How can we get in touch and stay connected?
Let me do a couple things. Is my slideshow still up?
I can. Yeah, let me put it up.
Yeah, if you pop that up for me quick, I'm going to say 2 things to folks out there.
Okay.
First, if you want more information like this, make sure you join your state and local PPA affiliate. And that's all in caps because I'm shouting at you. If you're not a member, be a member. There's a million guys like me in the world that are willing to share their information, and they're in your local market. Go to your local PPA and find those people. Second, join me at the mentor.photo community. It's mentor.photo. And if you type that into a web browser, I just checked, it's working. So mentor.photo will take you straight to the Facebook group, or click on the link that Chris put in there. And we will be thrilled to continue this conversation out there. In fact, I'll be in the room tonight. If anybody has any questions, just start typing in. If you're not a member, I will add you quickly. And it's a really good group. It's nice folks. We got some new stuff coming up towards the end of April. But if you're not out there, come join us. It is not spam heavy. It will not take up your whole feed, I promise.
Well, thank you so very much, Brent. Like, that was a ton of great and actionable information. It's going to make stronger businesses and make it a little bit easier in the sales room. If you know how to communicate, if you know how to talk with clients and prevent a lot of these problems ahead of time, I think you gave us some amazing strategies on there. So thank you for sharing that information with us.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you, ACI, for putting this together for us and sponsoring it.
Yeah, everybody in the chat just saying they love you. So I'm sure you're going to have a whole bunch of new group members coming here. And if you are in there, click on that link, join the group. It's a whole bunch of information. I'm a member of that group, and I definitely get value out of it as well.
And there's about 150 hours of video out there for folks too, if they want. So
it's a good archive. It's a great archive. I know I was definitely there and tuned in when we had nothing to do except for learn. All right. Have a good night, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us again. Bye.